I am pleased to welcome Pranita Chetri, who is the co-founder of Books for Change. And this is a wonderful initiative that is supporting child-friendly libraries in Nepal and India. And Pranita really goes the whole way to the most remote areas to bring more educational support there. It's a wonderful project. I really love it. So Pranita will speak to us about the courage to live your purpose today. Welcome, Pranita. Do you want to say a few words about yourself?
Thank you so much for the quick introduction. Hi, everyone who's joining in today, and namaste to people who are joining in from Nepal. So I'm Pranita, and I've been building this organization with my husband for the past 4 years. And along with libraries this year, we also started supporting schools with solar and computer. There was a need in this time of digital education, especially with Corona. We saw that there was a need in order to fulfill that. We are also expanding our programs. We have a small team in Nepal and in Switzerland who are working together in order to reach access of quality education to the rural communities and children.
Wonderful. It's a great project. And we will show a little video at the end of this talk so that people can see a bit what you're doing. And I love, by the way, the video because there are no words in the video and the images speak by themselves. And I think only really strong projects, strong purposes speak by themselves. So congratulations for that. We'll
Thank
show
you. Thank you
at
so
the
much.
end. Pranita, when you went off for this project, and it's all about having the courage to live this purpose, I imagine that in the moment when you thought, this is something I would really love to do, and I see a true need, and I want to contribute to this, what were some maybe limitations, some hesitations that you had by that time, and how did you overcome these?
I think first I'd like to start off with why I started this and how I started this organization. Going back 9 years ago, I was 21 and I just finished my bachelor's. I was traveling in Nepal and I registered myself as a volunteer in one organization which was run by trafficking survivors and for the children and the girls who were trafficked to India. So I registered myself as a volunteer there, and I thought maybe I will be here for 1 month. This is going to get over, and I will go back. So I was there, and I'm being at a very I think this young age of finding your true purpose in life. This event really shaped my purpose, I would say. And 1 month turned into 1 year, and I was there with the girls teaching them English. As well as reading books to them and using books as a tool of therapy. So in this time, I also met my husband. So I sort of introduced him to this organization and said, like, why don't we do something here? And 9 years ago, the Books for Change started, but 4 years ago, we registered itself as an organization and we built our first library in this organization for girls in Nepal. So, and in this process, I think what I realized was that there are different social evils, but education is a very powerful tool to sort of fight against these social issues. I think some of the challenges that I faced in this journey would be I do not have this education on like rural development or like an MBA or so I do not have this like education, but I think it was for me just to go there on the field, learn what the other organizations are doing it, learn how could we do it different. So after this 1 year volunteership in Nepal, I moved to India to do my master's. And after completing my master's, there was this inner voice that just drew me back to Nepal to start the organization.
What would have happened, and this is purely theoretical, if you had not listened to that inner voice and if you had gone the normal way, yeah, find a secure job and do something else? What would have happened to you, you think?
When I was doing my master's in Bangalore, we have like campus recruitment, and you have like companies coming there. And also, like, I did my master's in literature and communication. So I wanted to become a teacher then. So I got a job as a teacher in an international school, Indus International School. So they would train me for 6 months to do this training, and then I would become a teacher and live in Bangalore and do this job. So 10 days before the job, I had this constant like conflict within me, and I thought a lot about it. It was just this voice telling me that to continue what I was doing in Nepal, to start something, just continue and start Books for Change. I think this was something that was so strong. And 10 days before, I wrote a very heartfelt letter to the director that, see, like, you will find many people who would teach the children in your school, but I know that there will not be enough people who will stand for rural children in Nepal. I think I have to go back, and that was the feeling. And I moved to Nepal, and I was responsible to sort of design the library, visit organizations, visit schools, and my husband in Switzerland, he did the fundraising, partnerships, and sort of raising funds so that I could really start the project and take off Books for Change. If not, I think you're coming back to your question. I think I would be a teacher somewhere in Bangalore.
Mhm. Which is not bad either, and which is also a purpose. Can also be
Yeah,
a purpose.
absolutely.
I can imagine that people ask you quite often, people, I think it's relatively obvious why you found that purpose. You kind of popped into it somehow, and then you felt this need and could not disconnect anymore from this need that is out there. But I can imagine that people ask you relatively frequently about, okay, but if I have a purpose, yeah, I have a purpose, but for this, I probably would have to give up my whole professional life. I'd have to do something totally out of the box. And as you said rightly before, or rightly, you said it from your perspective, that you in the beginning did not have like the qualifications or like official qualifications for doing this. What do you answer to people who ask you, how can I make my purpose a reality? What do you recommend to them to do, first of all?
I think many people have this excuse that I do not have time. But I think if you are really passionate about something, you create your own time. It's not about, I think, giving up a very secured job and going like 100% into something completely new and unexplored territory. But I think it's about doing something on the side, building it up, and then when you feel that, okay, now is the time to get into it 100% and build it up, then you will find your way. But I think if you are passionate about something, I know that you will definitely find time, energy to build something on your side beside your day job.
It's all about setting the right priorities or setting different priorities. Yeah, setting the
Yeah,
priorities.
exactly.
Yeah, and it's true. We often hide behind that for years and years, maybe even. And some of us have an idea in mind, and sometimes this idea is a little bit vague, like I want to help other people. That's what I hear very often, but they don't know exactly how and what, and then search for something which is in their area of expertise as well. You did it completely from your heart, I think. And I
Yes.
think it's very courageous also to go there, despite all the logistical obstacles which you had, despite all these infrastructure obstacles which you certainly had, and just trying to get there. How was it the first time whatever you qualify as the first time. Yeah? Is it maybe the first time when you went there with books, or the first time when you went to a very, very remote area or something like that? But the first time where you had a feeling, now I'm doing something where I'm really out of my comfort zone. I have no clue if this will work out. We did our best to prepare for it, but are we ready? Not really sure, 100%. When you had to do this, can you share a little bit how you felt about it, how you managed maybe these anxieties which you might have had by then?
I think one of the learning was just to be bold enough to ask questions and to ask for help. I think this was something that I learned. So when I was working in Kathmandu, I visited many organizations who were also doing this a similar type of work. So I visited the schools that they supported, to the libraries that they had supported. So I went there, I saw their infrastructure, I saw the structure that they were using, and I thought, okay, this is really great that I could use this as an inspiration for our library. So I think I also did a lot of research on the way. I think it was also important for me to be sure of what I want before we go there. So a lot of research was happening, but at the same time, it was always this thing of like, when a child enters the library, a child, he should be happy. He should not be overwhelmed with too many books. So designing that library was really important for me. So when I went there for the first time, I think what we had, it was very clear in my mind that I wanted something that would make the child happy. So we had like bright, colorful paintings, we had like furniture, very child-friendly design furniture, and we had a structure. So I think it was like, as soon as I did my research, it became easier for us to sort of like make a design and then go ahead with that. But something that I learned on the way was, I think at the beginning for me, it was just the school and the organization trying to build a library. But then later on, what we realized was, for our programs to be successful, it was not just the school and the children. It was important for us to involve the community, to involve the teachers, to involve the school management committee. So I think later on we did this, I think from how we started, and now it's like a very community centered approach where the support is not only books for change, but also getting support from the community, whether it's like 10% of financial support, or just the support from the rural leaders and rural women. So this was the shift that happened over the years.
That's a very interesting shift. And I think it's a good advice for anyone who wants to start even an own business. Because very often we have an idea of what the needs are, and then we go out and just provide it. Yeah, we push it into the market somehow without truly listening. And I think your point about asking questions and being courageous enough to ask these questions is a very good advice for anyone who wants to start something, and to have a more inclusive approach, even maybe building partnerships before you haven't even started something, and make sure that you're really doing what your audience wants and needs, instead of presuming, or assuming what they probably want, because you are so sure about that, but when you ask questions, you realize it's not exactly what I thought it was. It's often very close to, but if it's not exactly the right thing, then people don't feel helped, they don't feel listened, and they probably do not also adopt your idea and truly use what you're providing. In your case, the library. If it wouldn't have been child-friendly or too complex, too overwhelming, maybe you wouldn't have any effect. So it's something that seems obvious, but not enough done, I think, out there in the marketplace in general. I have another question to you. I remember when we spoke before a few weeks ago, when we were preparing a little bit this talk and I got to know you, you said that once you showed up first time there in a place in Nepal, or was it in a school, I think, the person who was receiving your welcome, you was very surprised to see a young woman there, because that was not usual. It's not the normal thing also in this culture that a young woman takes this initiative and has the lead above it. How did you feel about that, and how did you deal with this?
I think right now the scene is slowly shifting, but I think when I started it, there was this. I think it's still a very patriarchal society where almost like we've completed 21 libraries, and out of 21 libraries, there's just one female principal there in the school out of the 25 libraries that we've out of the 21 schools that we have worked with together. So I think when I started Books for Change, I mean, when I went to the rural region, and I was just going alone there with a driver, and to sort of see me and to have this like I think it was very overwhelming for them that they have to listen to someone who is so young. But at the same time, I think it was also for me a learning experience to deal with this community, to how do I make sure that a long-term partnership is formed, and how should they try to see that what I say and how we work is as important that if a male person would say and work. So I think it was very important for me. And what I learned was also like communicating very clearly that this is what we do and this is what we expect from you. So I think this was also something that was one of the learning that helped me, that to explain myself very clearly. And when you do that, I think it makes things much more easier.
Yeah, I'm just writing down notes for afterwards.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And I think many learnings along the way. I think just a thought of like non-profit. I mean, there's a lot of cynicism around non-profit. But I think it's important for me personally to sort of like differentiate between constructive criticism and destructive criticism. I think it was important for me to when somebody criticizes your work, I think it is really good because it sort of makes you reflect on your work. It reflects like, okay, what are the things that I have to do to improve myself, which is really great. But I think on the other side, like it is also important not to let ourselves drown or have so much fear with destructive criticism. I think it's important to use that destructive criticism as a power to motivate yourself, to fuel yourself to do better. So I think this is what I've learned, and I think with changing this, reimagining the experience of giving for the donors, I think it was for me so important to learn that. And my greatest, I think, inspiration currently are like Charity Water and Pencil of Promise. Both of these organizations are doing really great work, and also like giving that the people who want to donate should be fun, contemporary, and we want to communicate that through pictures, videos, and makes this giving experience very joyful for the donors. So I think for us it's important that both our parties, like the communities that we are dealing with, and as well as the partners, the sponsor who would like to sponsor us, to have this long-term partnership and also have this trust from both of the parties. So this is what is important for us.
Yes, you try to create a lot of connections, not just be an organization who is raising funds from a lot of anonymous people and at the end not really connecting with them.
Yeah, exactly. So this is for us very important that the donors should also see where exactly the money is going. I think transparency is one of the values that we strongly stand by. But also, I think it's also important for our communities that we are working with, that we represent them in a way that we celebrate them. I mean, just because a community is in need, we do not undervalue certain qualities that the community stand by. So I think for us, it's very important that the community stand in the center. They require help, but it's also important for us to put them in a very positive way and not to sort of like devalue their life or to belittle them. I think this is the word, that it's important for us to also celebrate them and to stand by them and to stand and yes, like sort of not to degrade their pride. So to represent them in a very positive way is also for us equally important.
Yeah, it's about really empowering the other people instead of just
Yes,
giving charity away, just giving money and then here
exactly.
you go.
Yes.
It's really about empowering them, giving them the feeling that they can also build something and have a true impact themselves.
Yes,
I think it's
exactly.
important, and certainly the only way also to have a lasting impact in areas where they need more development, because at the end it only can really work on the long run if they build it also from the inside out, and if they can feel and own the project locally as well. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. Looking into the sustainability, I think that helps.
Mhm. Today, as you are living this wonderful purpose every single day, okay, is this like a wonderful daydream? Even though it's challenging, obviously, you have a challenging project, yeah. But if do you wake up every morning with this feeling, wow, I'm doing something great with my life, I feel good about myself, I'm in peace with myself, or do you also have moments of frustration where you wonder why you're doing this, where you think like, oh no, I should have maybe done something that is just more calm and less demanding on my life? How do you live this emotionally?
I think it's not every day that I wake up and think that I what I'm doing makes a purpose. There are definitely days of frustration. I wouldn't deny that, but I think it's important to sometimes celebrate how far you've come. I think we don't do that often. And when I am having this feelings of doubt and fear, that I sort of sit down and reflect on the first library that we've built, and we've like reached like our 21st library. So that, like, looking back and being grateful of what you have achieved till now also gives me a lot of purpose. And I think what is also important is having this. Getting the support from the team. I think our team, as well as in Switzerland, as well as in Nepal, we have a very, very strong bond. We sort of like motivate each other, help each other out. And this also sort of keeps me motivated in a way. And the other thing is, I think what I've learned last year, I was in a Singha mentorship Singha program, and in this program I had a mentor, and I also realized the importance of having a mentor in one's life, because having a mentor, it was not just about like understanding your project clearly, but I think it was also about like having someone who trusts you and who believes in you, that your project will take off. So I think I think when you have this supportive community around you, it helps you to keep motivated. And when on days when you are not doing well, I think it's this community who will really push you and say like, yeah, what we've done till now is already really, really great. But I think having big dreams in life is also as important.
Yeah, I think it actually really, really is. And that brings me beautifully to my next question. What would you say to people who say, hey, I have no dreams, I have no purpose, I have really nothing that inspires me really. I'm doing my 9 to 5 job, or today's maybe a 9 to 7 job, but I don't really know what else I could do with my life. I'm not satisfied, but I have no clue, yeah, where to go. Do you have any advice that you can give here?
I think, speaking from advice, I think it's important that people reflect on their life, people reflect on their values. I think this is so important. And I think every one of us have had special events in our lives that have shaped us. For me, it was the volunteer experience. I experienced the earthquake in Nepal, and I experienced certain things that really helped me to shape Books for Change, that I really want to take this purpose forward. So I think it's important for people out there to reflect on their values, to reflect on these special events or moments in their life that have spurred their inner voice. So I think it's important to do that. Many people are so busy in this everyday chaotic life that they don't find time or energy to sort of reflect on that. So I think it's important to do that, and this will help you, I think, find that purpose that you are looking for. The other thing is, I think having dreams is really important in life. I'm hopelessly idealistic. I think it just keeps me so motivated. And we started with libraries. We just completed our solar and computer lab support. And now I think we want to go into building schools, maybe like not now, but like maybe 2 years or 5 years down the line, building green, sustainable, green schools in a rural region. I think when I sort of imagine that, it just keeps me really motivated. It helps me to find out solutions. Where can I receive help? Whom do I find? So I think it's so important to have dreams because it gives us meaning, it gives us energy, and yes, I think it's really important to have that. But I think also being like hopelessly idealistic, but at the same time, I read somewhere that important decisions in life should be taken by heart, and small decisions in life should be taken by mind. So, so here you go.
Yeah, I like that a lot. And it's absolutely true because our heart, which is like nourished by all the information that we store in our subconscious, and our subconscious doesn't forget any single detail we ever lived through, any single information. It's all there, yeah. So if we take it by the heart, we have this huge, let's say, database of personal information where we plow in. Whereas if you only take it with our head, it's only what we have in our conscious mind. It's only the facts that are upfront here, and it's a really small number of information which we have there. And I think in the contrary of what most very rationally driven people think, is that you take much more informed decisions actually when you take it from the heart than when you take it from your mind purely. I like that comment very much. So we are coming already to the end. I can't believe it. I have a feeling we have spoken like 10 minutes or so, but it's nearly half an hour already. And you have said a lot of really nice things which people can use to implement a purpose or to get further down the road to find their purpose, which is another area of activity actually, to find really your purpose. But when you have one, or when you have a spark of an idea what you want to do, then something that I picked up which you said before was about really ask questions. If you're not sure about your project, or your project is very vague, go out and ask the people you think they might be the ones who need this value, or this what you bring, and ask what they need, and really get into a discussion, and by this create even a network. Maybe already, maybe you start creating even partnerships like you did, and like this you feel much safer into moving forward. Yeah, you don't feel alone. You're not just a single warrior out there in a hostile world, but you feel like, wow, I already have some ground with people. I know where I want to go. I think this is absolutely crucial and makes a huge difference when I compare also with a lot of people I work with who are doing this really like lonely warriors. Yeah? And it's very, very hard to get to something like this. Creating your own time, the first thing you said, it's very important because we decide nonetheless how we spend our time. And yes, you have to neglect maybe something, even have the courage to neglect something, to be clear about this, but to go for something else that is maybe more valuable and brings not only more value to you, but maybe to the world as such. And this is, I think, worth neglecting something that is maybe less important. That was a good thing. Then there was this whole thing about also taking in criticism as constructive feedback, building on this, learning also from maybe your failure, maybe your mistakes, but learning also from what other people can't understand and what they think is wrong, and building on this in a constructive way is a good thing. And then doubt and fear, you mentioned that, and it's coming back to the support piece. So if upfront you create like a community, or at least a bunch of people you can ask for help, maybe there's even a mentor in there, which you feel like a mentor, someone you can ask for something bolder, yeah, which is who is accompanying you along the way. Great thing. And again, you're not alone. You can overcome fears. You can overcome obstacles. So we have a lot of things on your list. If there's just one last word from you, Pranita, about when someone now says, wow, I always had this idea what I will do with my life, but I never did it. Now I will give it a start. What would be for you the very first advice, the first step that this person can take to move on towards his or her dreams?
Take action. I think this is so important that sometimes we we have everything placed on our mind, we have it everything on paper, but I think taking the first step is so important. It's until and unless you do this, I think it's difficult. So just take that first step and learn by doing. I think for me, I live by that principle, and this has helped me to come along this way, because sometimes when you're just sitting there theoretizing everything, it just becomes sometimes too overwhelming. So I think I would just ask them to just take the first step and see what comes along.
That's a good advice. And this is how we start. And so I thank you already, Pranita. We stay here in this call and we will now play the video of your organization. And I watched it a half an hour ago for the first time. It really is really touching, and it's really wonderful what you're doing there. So I hope that technically it works. First time that I share something like that. So we'll see how that works. We share this video file. Okay. Is it coming? Yes.
एकदमै खुसी लागेको छ है। बिग
thanks goes to our team. हाम्रो टिमले एकदमै धेरै मेहनत गरेर यो कार्यक्रमलाई सफल बनाएकोमा एकदमै I think thank you guys.
Thank you very much, Pranita, for this wonderful video. And to the audience, if you want to support, it's booksforchange.org, right? Where you can find more information, get in contact, don't hesitate to share this initiative with other people. So I thank you very much, Pranita, and I'm looking forward to the audience if you want to join one of our other talks, which we usually do every Thursday. And you find some information. I put in here just quickly the website, on our website, what's coming up next, and also all the other get-togethers which we do. So thanks again, and we stay in touch.
Thank you so much, Ulrika, and thank you for this opportunity. Really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I really enjoy the talk as well, very much. So thanks for that, and speak soon, and have a great day. Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for watching this talk. If you haven't subscribed yet, click here. Follow us on Instagram or become active yourself in our LinkedIn group. I am very much looking forward to having you on board. You are important, and together we can make a difference. See you next time.